Here we go. Bit dark.
Way dark. Oh, it's pretty early where you are, huh?
Yeah. It was not too early. It's about 7:30. So the sun's sort of up about.
I should have just said 7:30 instead of 7. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. How you been?
I'm good. I just got back from Sedona, Arizona, like yesterday at 5 a.m. and so I'm still kind of like moving a little differently because it is a vortex there and it's totally different than anything I've ever experienced, and it was wonderful. And we can talk all about that because I got tons of information when I was there about what's going on. And wait, do you mind if I just get a water? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay, can you hear me while I'm doing this?
Yeah.
So, you want to record this for, like, YouTube or something?
Well, what I did was I've actually started, like, a podcast show, and yesterday I interviewed Mary Rodwell for, like, an hour and a half, and then another friend of mine, Damien Knight, and I just thought, this is something that guided me. When you said that, it was like, all right, that's the final nail in the coffin.
Yes!
I'm doing it. So it will be put up in, like, an audio podcast thing where anybody can download it, and I've just called it the Peter Maxwell Slattery Show. I didn't care about the name, and this is something where those that are into what we do, that I think is a benefit, we can just...
It should be visual. You need lights. It should be visual. Stop hiding in the shadows. You're literally telling your audience you don't want to be seen.
It's not that, because I haven't got the internet credit. I've got prepaid internet where I can only get 2 gig for like $29 or 4 gig for $49, and I'm on welfare, and that's just hard to even. So it's really hard at the moment.
Well, I can post it on YouTube. It's about posting it on YouTube. It's free. Just uploading a video. I'm recording this as a .mov file anyway.
All right. Well, what I'll do is.
I'm just saying as a future suggestion, if you want to just do this as an audio, that's fine, but you need to show your face when you're interviewing people. You can't just keep hiding behind audio interviews. You need to make people acquainted with you, is what I'm getting, you know? If I may be so bold.
I totally get that.
If I may be so bold, if I'm like crossing a line here and...
No, you're not crossing a line. The other problem is, too, is that with video here in Australia, because the internet service here is shit compared to the States. And we get a lot of jolting back and forth. Yeah. You've got really good internet, and we've got really crap internet.
Well, so I'm sure that where there's a will, there's a way, but you need to step it up. If you're like a filmmaker or whatever, and you're doing things that have to do with audio visual, you need to make it more visual. You need to make people affiliated with your image, your face.
Yeah.
People need to see your face, Peter. You're, like, making excuses to, like, keep yourself hidden, and I don't understand that. You need to come out, not retreat. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. And that's why all people want me out there doing stuff as well. I think that's
it makes it okay for other people to come forward, is why I'm saying it. It makes it safe for other people to show their face as well. It's not enough to It's not enough to anonymously post. That's why part of the reason I put myself out there, because I'm trying to tell people it's okay. Like, I haven't been killed, you haven't been killed, you're not mind controlled, you know, I've been in mind control stuff, but I survived. You know what I mean? You have to make it okay for other people to step forward. Does that make sense? I know that sounds weird, like, to make it visual, but people are visual now. We live in a visual world. We don't live in radio 1942. You know, we live in a visual 2013 visual. You're literally hiding in the shadows. You can't tell me you don't have a lamp in that room. Do you know what I mean?
No, I've just got the blinds closed, or else people are knocking on the window all day when they call by. That's the thing.
You need a lamp in there. You can put the blinds down and put a lamp on, but you literally are you're either subconsciously or doing something where you're saying, I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be found, I don't want to look, I don't want to see. And
that's what I've got everything. Like, if you do even see my new documentary, I've put family, I've put everything on the line that I've got to say out there. It's out there. The information is out there. I haven't been hiding.
Well, there's something you're not doing that's making a visual connection. Does that make sense? I'm sorry to be so pushy, but my guys are being really insistent right now that everybody comes forward and talks about opening their third eye and talks about being visual as much as audio, because hey, by any means necessary, right? And
well, that's it. I totally agree. It's the thing is, but I haven't had an avenue to do this until now because nobody will interview me anymore.
No more excuses. No more excuses. You make the media. Don't say that.
Oh, that's it. That's why I've done this.
Yeah,
exactly
but this
right.
is, look at you. I can't even see you. I thought this was going to be Skype visual. I can't even see you.
We can do that. I'll open the blinds, but the thing is too, on your, I don't know how is it coming through on your end?
You look black. You look totally in shadow. You look like one of those black ops people who wear sunglasses and they don't want to be seen when they do interviews.
I'll open up the blinds, but is the video clear on your end?
I can see me just fine, but you, I can't see at all. You're just hidden in shadow, and the only light I see is the reflection from the computer.
Oh, good.
Now, this is going to be a .mov file, and I can post this on YouTube, I think. But, yes! That's better! Much better! I can see you! That's what people need to see. They need to see facial expressions. You know what I mean? This is really important. I'm not trying to be trivial here. I mean this seriously.
No, that's fine.
That makes a world of difference. A world of difference. And that's a beautiful photo behind you too. Like, you have to share that. You have to share your facial expressions. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like your emotions.
No, that's fine.
It's really important to share that right now. And I don't know why. Just don't do that ever again. If you're going to do a Skype thing and it's going to be recorded, make sure people can see your face because you're doing yourself a vast disservice by just pulling the blinds down.
I'll record the audio and put it up as a show.
Okay.
And you just record.
Yeah, it is. It's an automatic .move.
And you can put that up on YouTube, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to edit for shit. I don't know how to edit at all, but it's just really important that people connect a face with a voice right now, is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And I have to be really pushy about it because I'm getting really tired of people being too modest about their talents and modest about their skills. And we don't have time for that. People who are already awakened have to... Actually, that's the crux. It's funny because I literally part of the reason I'm a little delayed in meeting with you today is because I had to write a blog post really quickly for today about a video that I received on YouTube about the buildup of military actions and drills in the United States and how that is a psyop. It's a fear campaign, and I've been getting these messages. I spoke with you, I guess it was yesterday or something, later yesterday, or maybe it was the day before yesterday, I can't remember. But it was about talking about releasing negative karma and talking about recovering past life memories and making sure that you release past life interference, meaning that you release issues that you've been subconsciously carrying around either in your DNA or I don't know how that works, the quantum mechanics of it, but that you've been carrying around subconsciously all these lifetimes, and they have no bearing on any lifetimes current.
Oh,
and yet you're repeating neuroses, and you're repeating addictions and compulsions and things like that. And people need to realize that life is not in a vacuum. You've lived before, you'll live again, and you're learning about perspective, and you're learning about what affects one will eventually have a boomerang effect and affect the other. And in one lifetime you're the killer, and in the other lifetime you're the victim. And that doesn't need to happen anymore. That kind of unconscious repetition of patterns in order to understand perspective is no longer necessary. And for some reason I made this blog post where it had to do with this video or a continuing theme that I've been talking about since January of this year that had to do with a build-up to martial law or potential martial law. And I'm getting that it's a gigantic psyop that's designed ultimately from the Illuminati perspective to keep people from opening their third eyes, to keep them scared, to keep them down.
This is the shit I want to go into because from my own experiences, it's been about the awakening of humanity and the healing of the earth. We're getting to that stage now where it's no more, but we've got to clear... It's really a two-part thing is that you've got so many beings that have come down the dimensions here, first time, even some directly from the God source. So it's a different matter for them, and they're wondering why everything's so weird, everything's so alien to them. But then you've got the beings that were coming here to help with the shift, whether it's the shift to the new Earth or whatever, how people want to put their spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones where they've got to release all the bullshit from all the lives going back, and it's really, we can do what we can to help them, but the final point is they've got to do it themselves. They've got to want to do it.
Yeah, each individual has to realize that they all have this capability. They just have to
exactly, yeah.
access
We're
it.
all God. We're all God. We've all got our own connection. It's just we're tapping into it, and it's just they do it when they do it, but it's getting to the point now where everyone's consciousness is connecting up like an energy grid, which even in the hypnosis, the beings from Orion came through and spoke through me and went into this where we've got an energy grid. And I've got that up on YouTube for everyone to see.
Mm-hmm.
A whole hypnosis done by Rodwell where the first half I can remember, I could see the visuals. Next second, I'm sitting here, out of body, and I could see the Elohim, the Syrians, I could see the Pleiadians, and their different levels of races through dimensions, and I wasn't me. And it was hard for me to watch the second half because it was all the shit that I've had interactions with. It was validation for me,
mm-hmm.
but looking at my body going all weird, doing weird hand signals, and it wasn't my voice, it was really weird, but it went into how we're like an energy grid where those that are star seeds and those that are awakened, we connect up like an energy grid, and those between us that aren't awakened yet, they're being affected by that resonant frequency of what we're connecting up doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all happening on so many parts, and that was sort of really good validation for me, just because you do think you're nuts when you're starting to awaken. You do have these doubting stages, and it's time to lose the doubt and go, fuck, this is real. This is what's going on. Take it, love it, or leave it. You know, same with the debunkers and stuff. I'll put everything up, and I'm getting so many videos of crafts powering up. My neighbours, everyone in my family's seen it now where I've taken them out or they've come here, and we're signalling with the lasers, just getting these power-ups, and it's like, love it, hate it, debunk it, like it. I just don't give a shit anymore. It's out there,
just
and
doing
those who
the
come
job.
across it are meant to.
Right, doing your job, doing what you came here for, and just doing it, and damn the consequences, damn the torpedoes, who cares?
That's it.
You've got to live that way, and part of that is just being fearless about who you are and what it's about. And when you open your third eye, all of that comes into your control, and your willpower plays a role in this. And I mean, the word gets overused with contactees, how they're told they're ambassadors, and they feel like they're supposed to be public figures and everything, and they're told this is going to happen, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, it sounds kind of goofy to say you're a galactic ambassador. I mean, on the whole of it, if you think of it, it sounds totally Star Trek. But listen, we're about to go into space tourism. We're about to have 5 or 6 companies.
Bigelow and Richard Branson.
Exactly.
And all those just doing it,
And they work for the Black Illuminati, and I will stake my claim on that. And it's time to take our power back. It's time to take symbolism back. I'm not wearing a satanic image. Everybody thinks a flying scarab looks like something satanic and Illuminati. It's not. It's ancient religious Egyptian symbology, but what it originally means, the Gnostic meaning of the flying scarab, is that you are the creator, you're the manifestor, but you're also a part of eternal life, of the spectrum of eternal life. And what the Illuminati will do is they will take that eternal life thing and turn it into eugenics and transhumanism and make everyone a robot. But the original meaning has nothing to do with robotics and transhumanism. It has to do with eternal life, the knowledge that you've lived before and that you'll live again. And that it's a cycle of evolution, of personal responsibility. And until we decide to take personal responsibility, we keep repeating the same pattern over and over and over again. So that's why I'm wearing Egyptian jewelry, because they knew more than anything about the idea that there is eternal life. Whether you understand the framework by which it was formed and people want to take ownership of that framework and say it was evil, it's up to you. But you have to take your power back. You have to take the symbols back. They have to stop having triggers for you. They have to stop having a hold over you, because you're not free until those symbols and repetitive images of one eye and all of these things that they keep showing on videos to try and make people think that the cult of death is cool. you have to take that back and reevaluate it. The original meanings of all of these things were mostly benevolent. You know, the Nazi swastika was originally meant to mean everlasting life as well. And what did the Nazis do with it? They made it impossible for anyone to wear those symbols again. And this is what the Illuminati's trying to do. They're trying to make those symbols that were initially meant to be holy and spiritual and good, and they turn them into, you know, they invert them. Their whole thing is inversion. And it's time to take our power back. We can't let these bastards do it anymore.
It's time to take responsibility and just take the...
You can't be passive.
Just do it.
Yeah, you can't be passive about it. And the star beings are frustrated, especially with the Fukushima thing. They're completely angered by the passivity of people. Most people are completely unaware of what's going on there. That's something that I know the Anunnaki, the benevolent faction...
I posted something today that I originally heard from Linda Moulton Howe. It was from an Australian newspaper here where this Australian bloke went from Brisbane to Japan. He's been doing it for 20 years. Usually he can fish every day. During the 2 weeks, he only caught 2 fish, saw no birds, and he went through that much debris, and he said that everything's just... He said, because he goes through the route that nobody goes through, really, except, you know, tradespeople, you know, the ships, and this guy... He was just a fisherman, and I forget what he was delving in. It wasn't a big boat, but he said for 20 years he could catch more than enough fish every day for him and his crew just to eat, because they didn't take food on the trip. It was just fish and water. And he said they got 2 fish in 2 weeks, and he said there was no birds. And just I've posted it up on my blog, the article where they've stated him, and I've got the source and all that from the actual paper. And I was just like, fuck me, like, this paper did a good job doing that, but that shit should be on front page newspapers everywhere.
And it's not. And why is that? Why is that? Because we still rely on the mainstream media, which is owned by the Black Cabal, which is owned by the Illuminati.
Exactly.
And the star beings do not want us, they don't want to step in and spoon feed us everything. We have to stop this idea that we didn't have anything to do with Fukushima. Every single person on Earth is responsible for Fukushima. That's a co-collaborative reality. We let nuclear, you know, generators be planted on an earthquake fault line in Japan, which routinely has, which is the height of irony, since they have a history of knowing what happens when nuclear bombs go off and nuclear radiation is used. And now there's a whole generation of children that are going to have thyroid issues. And recently there was a news article that said that there was a dramatic uptick in bloody noses. For about 5,000 people were tweeting in Japan on sudden bloody noses, and they noticed that it was a direct correspondence, but that they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop bleeding noses, which is a sign of radiation sickness, and that no one's talking about it. And this is humanity's fault. It's not just the people at the site of the thing. We have allowed this to happen. We've passively allowed...
We've let it happen. I wrote about that in my book, saying this is something that we've allowed to happen. We're being manipulated, but in saying that we've allowed that to happen.
Right, but now that excuse no longer works. It's like we have to step into our power. We have to step into our power. So, you know, the star beings are communicating with me a lot more lately as well, and Sedona was pretty trippy too, because there were obvious. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's definitely an experience. It's probably not unlike that rock you have a picture of right behind you. And Ayers Rock, is that Ayers?
Ayers Rock, just sitting in the middle of Australia.
Exactly. It's probably on a ley line that's probably pretty miraculous and spectacular, and generates a lot of similar Earth energy and Agarthan, ancient terrestrial sort of works and energy. And it's time to pay attention to that. It's time to listen to what nature has to tell us, because nature is reacting. It's showing us left and right what we are doing. This is all humanity that's doing this. The colony collapse disorder, the hundreds and thousands of sea lions and whales and birds and so forth that are just washing up on shore of the Pacific U.S. coast. Again, probably because of Fukushima. 60% of the starfish in Puget Sound in Washington State, again on the Pacific Northwest coast, they're melting. They're melting. Yeah. And people are walking around saying they don't know what's going on. This was humankind that was doing this. Pesticides built by Monsanto. Nuclear radiation built by General Electric. I know people who have stocks in these companies, and they don't care. They don't make a connection to any of this. There's no more time to waste. And so when you listen to nature, when you listen to earth energy, like in places like Ayers Rock and Sedona and other points on the planet that are holy, Mount Shasta, for instance, just to name a few, and you learn to meditate and you learn to open up your third eye, not only are you going to start seeing ships in the sky and you start communicating with beings, because if you ask, they will come. But so you better make sure you ask for the benevolent ones. But
that's what I've been stressing, because I've been actually
you open up the gateway. You open up the gateway, but it can't be done with them alone. You have to. I repeat myself, but there's just this urge right now to talk about learning about your past lives. And actually, the star being showed me a lot of my past lives when I was waking up. That was
same. Yeah, I've actually got. It's been tripped me out and even now it trips me out because I've got. It's cool, but it's a lot to absorb because you're trying to connect your interdimensional self with those lives, this life, and you're trying to balance it out. But I've got to the point where what's good for me and what's going to help bring through. Not that it all wouldn't help, but just for the human mind, because it's so much. Yeah. It's just something you got to take in little bits at a time as you know yourself.
I didn't learn about. Obviously, I don't think I could learn about all of my past lives, but they did show me key past lives, and it was very helpful in understanding perspective. Because what happens when you start remembering past lives, or you're shown them like on a movie screen or something, they do have that capability, that technology. Yeah. At least when I was being guided.
I've had the holographic projections put in front of me where they just project. The Elohim do that. It's really weird. Like it's
yes.
Yeah, it's just projection stuff, and they're there. You can't see them do anything with their hands. It's just this shit's appearing, and it's like what the. It's awesome to see, but it's really just weird. It's just it shows how they can manipulate reality and just get that and go bang. It's like they're getting the Astro records and pulling everything out that's being recorded and go, we'll show him this, we'll show him that, we'll show him that. And it's really cool stuff. And it is just similar to what you said, it's sort of key things that would be of benefit now to sort of nail down what you need to know so you can push forward. It's little bits and pieces at a time, but it's fucking awesome. I wouldn't have it any other way.
It's fucking awesome. It is. Yeah. It is. I mean, well, and when you open up your third eye, you learn about that technology as well. And you learn about artificial technology versus sort of like, it's not the same thing as virtual reality, but it's somewhat close. Holographic television almost is what I would call it. And they're sort of teaching me about multidimensionality and timelines and all of the things that I use in my practice as a psychic. And just with knowing, claircognizance, accessing information from a holographic grid, as well as portal technology, wormholes, that kind of thing, all can be activated by the third eye. And people seem to, and belief systems are pernicious. So if people think, oh, that's just for someone else, even if in the remote possibility of what she's saying is true, that wouldn't be me that could do that. And just by virtue of you saying it's impossible and it's fantastical, you've automatically shut that possibility down. So you're never going to try it. You're never going to access it. You're never going to be in that information grid, and then you're constantly going to be coming to people like me. If you need that information, you're going to have this learned helplessness where you're saying, I can't do this. Awaken me. Make me this, please be my savior. Help me in this regard, Yoda. And that's great. I can do it temporarily, but I'm not there to be your babysitter. The whole point is that I teach you how to help yourself. And so the lessons from the star beings are that we have to be self-sufficient right now. And we have to learn, and that self-sufficiency extends to psychic ability and psychic awareness. And
that's the main thing that comes with it, because from there the opening comes up where you are taking it on yourself. And that's the main force that drives behind it from the third eye, the astral body, everything just... These are the tools we've got available to us, and nobody sort of looks at it that way. But, no, I know what you're saying now. Do you want to get into it and I'll press record and we'll go for about an hour and a half? Or have you already got record going?
I'm already recording. We've been going for a while, cool. So I'm going to record the raw file, just post it up on YouTube.
Well, I'll press record on this end and we'll do sort of the show from here.
Okay, and you're welcome to post this video on wherever you want as well, the .mov file, if it'll load.
Cool. I'll just take for a while.
Yep. I don't even know how I'm going to do this because I have to... I guess I can edit it somewhat because I'm going to have to put it in like 10-minute increments or something on YouTube. But
it'll be easier for you just to cut the front bit off, like the start bit or whatever you don't want in there. But it's not that hard once you get used to it. The cutting part's pretty easy.
Well, now YouTube has a whole editing system set up.
The whole thing in it.
So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. I'll figure it out. But anyway, or I can just hand you the .move file and you can do what you want with it. You can edit it however you like.
Yeah, if it's small enough, you'll be able to send it. Yeah, it depends on the size of it because I think emails and that will only take up to 50 meg.
I would have to send it from a large file server.
All right, yep. Yeah, my brother was talking about one of those yesterday, yep. Cool as. Yeah. Well, I'll press record and I'll go into it and just do it how I've done the last two shows. Cool. All right, 3, 2... Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Peter Maxwell Slattery Show. And today we've got Anya Briggs. How you going, Anya?
Hi, Peter. I'm doing great here in New York. How are you?
Good. So you just got back from Sedona?
I did. It was wonderful.
How did that go?
It was wonderful. It was one of the most peak experiences of my life. Everything they say about it is true and more, bad, good, and otherwise. But fortunately for me, it was almost 100% good. It just flowed. There really is something like a Sedona effect. And it seemed that everything was in perfect timing. I didn't have to wait for anyone. I would put, for instance, when I was getting ready to leave and I put my luggage out on the front yard by the driveway of the place I was staying at, the driver came right up to the door immediately, even though he was 5 minutes early. That sort of thing. I got to meet whoever I was supposed to meet at that time, and I got to have the conversations I was supposed to have with the right people that I was supposed to have with. I got to see the things I was supposed to see and experience the things I was supposed to experience, and it all sort of unfolded in this completely organized but totally organic fashion, and it was fantastic. And I definitely felt this energy field there that I don't know if other people who are sensitive experience, but I certainly did, and that vibration was love. It was love energy, universal love energy. And the more you got close to certain mountains and hills and mesas and buttes, there were certain ones that were just power-packed. What can I say? I mean, some of them were just, it was earth energy, it was magnetism, it possibly had something to do with ETs, I don't know, but it was a magical, magical experience. I will never forget it as long as I live, and I can't wait to get back.
No, that's awesome. It's similar like that about an hour and a half away. We've got Mount Buffalo, and that's where the Aboriginals used to go and do sort of ancient ceremonies. But I can go to other mountains around here. We've got about 3 that, they get snow on them in winter and that. But Mount Buffalo, when I go there, there's just this hardcore energy. And actually on my website, I've made like a 2-3 minute video with heaps of pictures that I took where you can actually see types of pyramids made out of rocks, like these ancient structures that I don't think many people have picked up on here in Australia, but you take, like, if you look at the photos, you can see pure square boulders and cutouts in them, like as if tools done it. But I go there and I have a lot of fantastic meditation time and just re-energising with the earth and grounding myself. It's really awesome, and I'd say that that's sort of similar to what you've experienced at Sedona. It's just nature's beauty and connecting with, universe, basically.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. So
it has it has to do with ley line energy, and it has to do with something about the Earth's electromagnetism that opens up certain parts of yourself energetically, much in the same way that, say, going to a Reiki practitioner or an acupuncturist perhaps would open you up. And if you're sensitive to that, you will feel it. You absolutely will feel it. And it was just, there was parts of the earth that it's more heavily aligned than not. And Sedona and this place you're talking about, I'm assuming, absolutely have that. It exists. So it's wonderful.
Oh, definitely. Like, there was many areas the Aboriginals could have chose to do whatever, but they went there for... And if you look at how the hell they got up there, it's like, I don't know how they did it, because it's a really, really rocky mountain compared to most. So they were there for a reason, and I can tell that when I go up there. Now, Now, we spoke yesterday and you wanted to go into past life, healing, basically embracing our own God self and reconnecting and taking the power back of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
so where do you want to start with this? Because you've got a whole book of knowledge. You write into this, and this is what I'm into as well. So I'll let you just take it where we're going to go. So go wherever you want, and we'll get into that.
Thank you. Well, I was just saying earlier. There's an interesting connection that I'm making with this. This information came to me a while ago, but it was really emphatic when I was in Sedona, in that it's really essential and imperative that people open up their third eyes right now and realize that everyone has this capability and that they can train themselves and learn more about life and the universe and everything. If they just open up their third eye and they develop compassion and they use it responsibly and ethically. And if you open up your third eye responsibly and ethically and you take personal responsibility for yourself, for your words, thoughts, deeds, and actions 100%, then you'll be fine. If you don't, bad things will happen to you at this point in time, because what we're experiencing is a boomerang effect, basically. That which you put out, you get back, and it's going to bitch slap you, pardon my expression, faster than you can say boomerang, because that's what karma is. We are manifesting karma faster and faster and faster, and we have to release it now. We have to get rid of that residual backup, that goo, that residual film that's developed over time. The excuse that you just don't know is no longer viable, because now you do know. The way the Earth's energy grid is right now, you can tap into that just like you would a faucet with water coming out. And you can make that a reality just as easy as pie right now. It's not that hard to tap into your psychic self, your third eye, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. It's not demonic. It's no more demonic than someone using their other senses of taste, smell, touch. Is your sense of taste demonic? I don't understand where that sensibility comes from.
Yeah, well, it's basically what the Illuminati have put into really... If this doesn't fit in their box, which they've created going back a long way, and you're tapping into something else, it is... Because it's not their norm, which really, this is our natural... It's what we naturally can do in whatever state, in whatever life, in whatever dimension, whatever. But because it's been manipulated that way, going back thousands of years, that's why it's got that taint on it. But it's our natural ability to be able to do that, to be able to use the third eye, whether it's psychic abilities, whatever. It's what we all can do, and that's what I've been telling people, is that they come to me like as if I've got all the answers, and I've said it in the last 2 interviews as well, is that I don't know 0.00001% out of the 1,000% of what's going on, but what I can do, you can all do, and that's why I've gone into the path now where those who are actually acquainted with this sort of thing, I've been taking it on initiating contact sessions where we do meditation and energy work, but like you say, you've got to be able to connect with, good beings in the service. And if you don't do things like how I've done at the start of the meditations and that, if you don't cleanse, invite the enlightened things, and block out the negative things and the psychic bonds of whatever's got their own service sort of thing going on, you're going to get anything coming in. And that's where I've headed now, and we've had amazing experiences, and it's about people taking their power back, taking responsibility, rather than coming to us as if we're going to do everything for them. They've just got to take their power. It's a long process. It's not an overnight thing as well, and that's people come to me and they think after a few months, even a year, they're going to be like where I'm at or wherever, and it's not about where we're at. It's about making your own development and embracing and empowering yourself. And that's where what we're talking about today, I think, is going to be of benefit to people, rather than thinking everyone's got the answers. People can tap into what we can tap into.
Well, and you don't need to be talking to ETs to do it, although they do serve the benevolence. They do serve to facilitate actions inside of you if you ask for it, if you sort of contract yourself out as someone who's going to step forward and be one of these servants to God kind of mentality. You will have people teaching you, but it's a collaborative relationship if it's benevolent. It's not ordering you to do anything, but you will be asked, whether subliminally or on a subconscious level or otherwise. I see tons of people who are awake who did not have such dramatic awakenings like you or I that didn't directly involve UFOs, but rest assured UFOs were probably behind it, because I do believe they're feeling, I wouldn't say the term they're using is panic-stricken is no more. Their goal right now is to get rid of the fear vibrational frequency in the, they're saying the tones of things. The tones. Yeah. And why I just posted a post on my blog, Anya is a channel.blogspot.com. You're welcome to check it out. It's probably .au where you guys are, but if you just...
I've got the links up.
Thanks.
I've got the links up. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, great. Because it's for the November 4th, 2013 post about military drills that have dramatically increased in the United States in 2013. It's a 24-minute video that just shows news footage and private citizens filming Humvee activity on the highways, in residential neighborhoods, an incredible buildup of things. Perhaps you saw in the news internationally that there were some Black Hawk choppers going through, I think it was Los Angeles or major cities.
LAX shooting now, and now
exactly.
Security guards are it's not the good that it happened, but it's like as if now, because that happened, now the security guards that didn't need guns are going to have more guns. Therefore, it implements more.
Well, it's a psyop. It's all a psychological operation, and
exactly,
I don't believe that martial law is going to happen in this country or anywhere else that has a constitutional bylaw or a parliamentary system. I don't think that's going to happen. In fact, I think
like an Nazi agenda, wouldn't it? Like it's just
they're trying to create fear. They're trying to spread fear in your mind that in the event of, in the United States at least, and it might have worldwide implications, the financial collapse causes worldwide disorder and disruption. But this is all by design. And I read about in the blog post that Chicago is considered the murder capital of America right now. It is like effectively martial law, it's like the Wild West right now in certain parts of the city, but that the Illuminati are heavy there. Chicago politics is notorious worldwide. It's never been exactly clean, and lo and behold, we have a Chicago politician in office as our president. He didn't get there by being honest. I'm sorry. I hate to burst anyone's bubbles at this point in the game that telling Barack Obama that he's actually honest and straightforward. He's not. He got there through politicking and glad-handing the old-fashioned way, through mafia, basically. And the CIA, you could call it the CIA, because that's what they are. They're organized crime. They're the mafia. But my point is that people let it get to the point right now where it is so lawless in Chicago that they have to have lines of policemen guarding children just so they can get to school in those neighborhoods now. And it's a terrific waste of resources and a reallocation that didn't need to be because they let it get to that point. And it's the perfect excuse then, like with what David Icke talks about, problem, reaction, solution. Now they have the excuse. They've let it get to the point where it's the murder capital of the United States where they can then enforce martial law. So realize it's a co-creative thing. So if we know how to control our emotions and control our reality, we don't need to let it get to Wild West type situations. We can control that. We can manifest. We're manifestors. We're creators. We can create chaos or we can create order, and it doesn't have to be ordered through chaos. It's once this point in our history, this quote-unquote financial collapse that is or is not imminent or whatever, worldwide or otherwise, that's sort of originating at several points on the globe. The United States is one of them, and will definitely have far-reaching implications for Australia and the Pacific, pretty much. Or the Pacific Rim, rather. We're
actually seeing in the public here in Australia, people are seeing it, like just, I said this yesterday to Rodwell and other people, that people who aren't into, UFOs, whatever, which doesn't bother me, and they do know that this is part of my life, they don't bring up that, but they've been coming up to me bringing up how they can see, just the average Joe on the street can see what's going on. And we had Kevin Rudd, which he was in the Labor Party, which was Prime Minister, which, parties that basically doesn't mean crap because they're all serving the same agenda. But we had Kevin Rudd, then he was kicked out, Julia Gillard went back in, then she was kicked out, Kevin Rudd was brought back in, now we go to Tony Abbott. Right. And what this did, it was a good thing that we got to see how the backstabbing and how they said they were going to do this, they were going to do that, and nothing was ever done about it. Because once they got into power, they could say, well, geez, I'm not it. I thought I was it once I got into power, which is a good thing here. We're starting to see it, but what we don't see so much of is what you're going through in the States with what you're talking about, how they're implementing everything that you're going on about. We see little bits, but really, because they run the entertainment and media industry as well, the Illuminati, the factions, it's all owned by the same people. That sort of stopped before it get here. So we don't see that much, and what you're saying is, I think a lot of people here in Australia that are going to listen to this, and throughout the world that don't live in America or know much about what's going on there, they're going to find this interesting because you're there, you're in the thick of it all, and you look at this all the time from whatever area you could put into it, because the Illuminati situation is so, like the pyramid, there's so many structure organisations within it that people just can't really grasp it unless they've delved into it a little bit.
Right. Well, it would behoove your listeners in Australia or anywhere else on the globe that isn't the United States or North America to pay attention to this, because from the standpoint of free will and opening your third eye and so much, the United States is the military arm of the trifecta that the sort of founders created for the world, that we've suddenly become the policemen of the world, and I wouldn't be surprised if
Team America.
Absolutely, and it also talks about how there are international troops that are doing drills on American soil. So they probably are bringing in Australian troops, Kiwi troops, etc.
I've actually heard that from a pretty good sources. Talk to people directly about people going over there doing that type of thing.
It absolutely affects Australia. We have great relations with you internationally on a trade level as well, and they try out stuff.
Security flying up.
Absolutely. And, it's just, I feel it. Living here, I've lived in New York City well before 9/11. I've lived here for 20 years, and I feel it. I've seen it. There was a dramatic uptick in the police activity since 9/11, and now it's just the norm to have random bag checks, and when you go to the airport, the security is sort of, we've reached a point where, and this is internationally, you have to take your shoes off, you have to do all these sorts of things. That's a direct reaction to 9/11. So anything militarily that can be said about the United States, I think everybody should pay attention to very closely, because, hey, as it happens there, so, this is sort of the canary in a coal mine effect, because other countries still parrot what we do militarily, because we're the number one arms dealer in the world in that regard, or arms importer, rather. Whether it's directly or indirectly, because the CIA is the number one, sort of one of the biggest arms importers for Al-Qaeda.
The gangsters.
Exactly.
And got the ammo.
Exactly. So we can no longer afford to say that doesn't happen to me, that's somewhere else. We are a global community in that regard. The internet has made this world a lot smaller, and what the Illuminati didn't bank on, and I use that as a catch-all phrase. Obviously, there are factions within factions warring against each other, but I'm not here to split hairs. I'm here to talk about the black cabal that hates humanity and doesn't want us to thrive and have our third eye open. That's the thing, the number one thing they're scared of, is having psychic power, having psychic awareness, having awareness of your past lives, having awareness of timelines, having awareness of quantum field technology and how to manipulate it. Yes, I just said that. You can manipulate quantum fields with your third eye.
Oh, yeah.
And you can change timelines. You can create peace instead of war by fixed intention, but also sending it out there through telepathy, which has been proven scientifically. It's real in repeated studies. I'm not making this up. I think it was Russian scientists, and then there were scientists all around the globe who had studied telepathy, and it does work. So that suggests to us that we are in a quantum field, and we are multidimensional, and time is non-local. Time's a construct.
Oh, definitely. And what I've got from my experiences is not just we're multidimensional in spirit form, but from what I got from my experiences is that we're a mixture of many races that are enlightened. It's sort of like they wanted to upgrade, have a being that could upgrade dimensions, but in doing that, humans are actually, when we're in the physical realm, we're multi-dimensional beings where we can access this, because some life forms, even though they've got the spirit and they can access this, in actual physical state, we can do what we can do in those states as well. And it's a matter of accessing that. Where you're talking about into accessing new timelines, I've seen where 2 timelines have come into one, and I saw that other things could be happening on the other one, and I didn't know, because when I wrote my book, Operation Starseed, and it was funny because when I met you, I had everything in that book I hadn't told anyone, and you were bringing this up to me when we first met you, and I was like, you definitely are what you say are, because nobody could know this stuff, but I saw exactly what you were talking about, and I didn't know when that book came out what was going to happen, because one wasn't so good, but the other one, you know, it was sweet for us, but it was sort of at limbo when it was revealed to me. It's like, this is the point where we can go this way or go this way.
Right.
And from what I've seen is that things didn't happen that were supposed to happen. So I can see that we've shifted the timeline, like they've come together, but it's not one or the other. We're sort of in limbo at the moment, but it's up to us where this goes from here and to, you know, do something about it.
Well,
like
Peter, if I may, when I posted a prediction on my blog, I posted it with the hope that it would not come true, and that appears to have happened. That now in the news media there were stolen nuclear material, nuclear warheads, in the United States once again, and no one knew what happened to them, and that surprisingly enough, the 2 generals who were in charge of these warheads both were fired, supposedly for personal reasons that had nothing to do with the stolen warheads, which is not true. In fact, they said one of them was fired for alcoholism. He doesn't touch alcohol. He wasn't off the wagon. He doesn't drink. So obviously something pretty big has been brewing. And subsequently, one of the other Air Force generals who was investigating the missing nukes has since died. I think 2 days ago he died in a car, I don't know what it was, a house fire or some kind of car crash, which to me is not accidental. And
they know something.
And I had stated in this that I put it out there, and I would never ever assume that this was me alone that did this, but I have the feeling that by simply mentioning this, and I did give it a heads up at least 4 months before Alex Jones started talking about this, that there would be a false flag nuclear dirty bomb attack on a coastal city in the United States near a large body of water, and one of the cities would be New York. There might be other cluster bombs in other cities in the United States. I remember
you doing that, actually.
Yeah, and this was exactly, I think this was the false flag that was halted.
That's the one.
That was in mind, because Lindsey Graham, the senator, said that, the port of one of these cities in South Carolina would be a target, and New York, for a nuclear bomb, a stolen nuclear bomb for terrorism. Now, how would he get access to that information? Now, I know I got it from non-local sources, but how would he? He's an insider, right? Yeah. And he's talking about this 4 months after I've started talking about this. Now, in the post, I said, I'm posting this because I don't want it to happen. I want somebody behind the scenes who sees this, hopefully, praying to God, and who does something about it. And there were people in charge who knew about this, and it was stopped. I'm not saying they saw my blog post, but I'm saying by simply putting it out there in the field and acknowledging it and speaking of it and saying it, I believe that something changed in the timeline. And again, I don't personally say this was me who did this, but I'm saying, hey, it's an insurance policy. It never harms to do this in advance, just in case, if you are in psychic awareness and you want to say, I feel like this is happening, it's never been a better time in history to talk about it. Write it in a blog. Talk about your feelings, how things go. You might be surprised how prescient and psychic they actually are. If you feel like it's sort of even in a daydream kind of thing, chances are you are hooked into the quantum field and you're looking at possible timelines and possibilities and potentialities. And the idea is that you can adjust accordingly. It doesn't have to be just the sociopaths who think they have to control the game board who are in control of this. They have their third eyes open, but they took the left-hand path, and they don't want to participate in healing and helping the earth and helping people succeed and become fully realized new humans. Instead, they want to bastardize it and invert it and turn the concept of everlasting life, which is what we are, which is why I'm asking people to look into their past lives and understand the continuum of life as holy and sacred. What they do is they invert the concept of everlasting life and turn it to and pervert it to transhumanism and robotics and cybernetics and nanotech to be used against people's best high syndrome and vaccines. That kind of thing.
Oh, it's all implemented to do just that. What you're saying is to keep us down, to keep us trapped, to keep us to be little soldiers for, just little sheep.
Yeah, they don't have a monopoly on it. They don't have a monopoly on reality creation. And the minute you open your third eye, you are fully participatory in that quantum field, and you get to decide how thoughts create reality. But there is no more time. There's no more luxury of time for people to sit on the fence and say, and be self-defeatist, quite frankly, to hate themselves more, to feed into the lies that you're lowly and you're a worm and you don't deserve to exist. That's no longer going to float. Because first of all, it's a lie, it's a cop-out. It abdicates you of personal responsibility and you don't have to change anything if that's the case. But also self-loathing is just kind of redundant in this day and age. It just doesn't serve really a purpose. Okay, we've done that. We've done the whole I hate myself and I want to die routine. So many times over, and it manifests itself usually in suicide and war and conflict and stabbings and thievery and all these negative hidden agenda things that promote vampirism and a food source for reptilians. So stop being, their food source. Stop being their food source and just own your power. Step into your power and learn it responsibly and ethically, and you'll be all right. Things will be all right once you understand you are a manifester, you are a creator, and you do have that power. And then with great power comes great responsibility. I keep saying that from the, I guess it's Marvel Comics or Stan Lee or one of those guys. But it's true. We are superheroes. Each one of us is a superhero, literally. Yeah. And we can make our reality, and we can do profoundly earth-changing things if we just focus our energies on priorities that matter rather than the ones that are superficial and don't.
That's it. Like, I say to a lot of people that what they're worrying about is just shit. Like, if they died today, would anything of what they're worrying about, would it really matter? It's just people are worrying about crap, and if we want to do something about the reality we're in, we can't be doing stuff out here like our blogs and what we're doing now. It's a good thing because it brings about awareness, but if each of us individually worked on in here, and that would project and manifest outside into our reality, which is tapping into what we're talking about, we worked on us, and enough of us did it, this reality where we're going would come along a hell of a lot quicker if we just
exactly.
Well, that's about it.
Peter, that's not what the Illuminati wants, because then they would realize
exactly.
So
that's why it's the 5 days a week work. Worry about your sport on the weekend. Go and get pissed. Go and do some gambling, and don't worry about what's going on.
Yeah,
you'll be happy like that.
Well,
and
that's
while you're doing that, give us your money.
Right, and that's like the Orwell quote from 1984, where he said about the proletariat, who the controllers didn't even bother to pay attention to because they self-regulated themselves by just distracting themselves into things that they could avoid the misery of their life with: football, beer. And he says it wasn't hard to control them. You give them the superficial avoidance techniques, just whatever sensory thing you use to dull your senses and forget about things for a while. And it's a self-regulating vehicle. It's a self-regulating mechanism.
And a lot of people say to me, I can't believe that this could be going on. And I said, well, it's not like this just started 10 years ago, or 100 years ago, whatever. I said, this was planned. Back then, the Archonic going through the reptilians, going through, down to the Illuminati, the people that run what's going on. This was planned going back thousands of years. They knew that at this time now, in 2000, there would be high technology. Well, it's not really high technology compared to what is really available, but they knew that there would be iPods, there would be the computers and the television, the social, but they knew this was coming, and I've got to give it to them. They are smart because they planned it back then, but they're not that smart because starseeds have come in.
Right.
And that's where you can't manipulate straight up, but what you got to do is either play a part in humanity. So that's where you get sort of the overshadowing whatever from the reptilian archonic side, and then on our side you've got the starseeds that have come in, reincarnated down, and they're playing a part. That's why we, what's going on is happening the way it is. So, and that's why I said I can't blame you thinking that way because, school education hasn't been around that long. And once the population got big enough, it's like what we'll do is create a place where kids go and we teach them bull crap in science, mathematics, whatever, 5 days a week, and then if they pass that test, with the book up we teach them, they get to go on to believe the lie. They're educated to believe the lie. And this is where all this is crumbling down. And I don't think we really need political government structure. I think as a world we need organisation.
Mm-hmm.
Because, just organisation, like how we do it within our lives, if we had that as a society, and like with a high level of consciousness, a lot of this stuff will go. And like Albert Einstein said, is you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created. Therefore, we've got to up the ante, and we've all got to do that.
Well, by organization, I think it's a self-regulatory organization, and that people are intelligent enough if they just listen to themselves instead of the peer pressure of paying attention to what everyone else thinks. And in some ways, this is a direct challenge from the benevolence to ask us to think for ourselves, to come out of our adolescence, primarily through the purpose of self-actualization and realization, and understand that we are powerful creators and not children anymore, that humanity has to grow up. And all of these attempts to dumb people down are failing, in my opinion. I know that there are plenty of people who still choose to be in dormancy, and they drink fluoride in the water, and they, eat toxic chemicals.
We've got it here everywhere in Australia. We've got fluoride everywhere in our water.
First thing you have to do is get the fluoride out of your drinking water. That's the first thing I ask. Purchase fluoride removal kits, whatever you have to do, but you have to get that fluoride out of there, because I really do believe it does calcify the pineal gland, but it absolutely shuts down. It shuts down access to your psychic ability. And the minute I started taking fluoride out of my water, I was already off the charts after my awakening, but I was drinking filtered water, but I wasn't drinking non-fluoridated water. I bought a fluoride filter for my drinking water, and as soon as I did that, I started predicting world events. Now, I'm not saying, or shortly right around that point in time, and I could feel a difference. I did notice a difference. It really did enhance my ability about 5-fold. So, yeah, it does dumb you down. It's not just I'm told that it does cause learning problems, developmental learning issues in people, but that it also shuts you down psychically. I can attest to that personally. That I absolutely.
And I don't know if I've got it in the States at the moment, but I saw something here not too long ago where in the next year I think they're going to try and put aspartame in our milk.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the public outcry is going to be so strong that it won't occur. But
there's not that much education here on it, but in Australia,
right?
It's like,
but why would you? Even if you, but here's the thing that people. This is what I mean by unthinking, and the success to some degree. I say minor success because I think ultimately this isn't going to work. It's going to be the same way that people reacted when they put asbestos in, linoleum tiles in the 1930s or whatever, and everyone thought it was so great. And they used to put radium in those, when you're a kid and you used to get your shoes fitted at the shoe store, you would find the right size of your shoes. Well, they used to light that up with radium. And they caused untold generations of people to have cancer later in life, and they probably pinpointed it to those toys that they used in the toy store because they were made with radium. And you're putting your bare feet on this thing to measure your shoes. That's enough to give you cancer for at least from your mid-40s on. So people are growing up in that regard. Why would you want to put extra chemicals in your milk? Like, I grew up in the 70s, and I remember when no one really questioned this at all, that they just thought, well, just as long as you don't have toxic chemicals in the water, then everything is fine, and people would just leave it at that. And I feel like now people are gradually starting to question, why would I need added chemicals in my milk? Why would I need, and again, there's the argument, why would you even need milk at all? But personally, I'm of the belief that I think that there are health benefits. If you have raw milk that is untreated with anything and it's organic and grass-fed, it is good for you, and it does serve a diet, a nutritional purpose. But anyway, I digress. People have to, they're starting to connect the dots. It's surprising to me because it's some people that I never would have thought would have connected the dots. I'm talking suburban housewives I went to high school with. And who are very caring, very sensitive people, but that just wasn't on their wavelength. And now I see them questioning their reality, partially just because we're Facebook friends and they like my posts and things that shock me, that I never would have thought these people, no offense to them, I'm not trying to, it's just they weren't conversations we ever had 25 years ago. And now those conversations are right there on Facebook for everyone to talk about. And people can say, oh, the NSA, this is why I say you can use the tools of technology against the surveillance state by creating a dialogue that actually subverts the paradigm and makes it a communication that makes the people spying on you question it. Because I don't believe that the people spying on us actually believe in what they're doing either. I actually believe that the people... Yeah, the people in the intelligence... Yeah, I don't think the people in the intelligence agencies who are spying on, and I know they're doing it to you, they're doing whatever international agencies or national agencies are spying on either of us, and I don't think that should come as any big surprise right now. Anyone you have on your show is probably on a list somewhere. I don't believe that those people actually believe the protocol and believe what's being told about us. Because granted, they are being told that we're insurgents and we're terrorists, believe it or not. We are absolutely on some kind of list where people are saying that we are insurgents, that we are provocateurs. And I believe that there's a seed of doubt that's planted simply by just continuing what little freedom of speech we have left in America. And I don't know if you have freedom of speech laws in Australia, but I would hope you use them to the fullest extent of the law whenever and wherever possible, as long as possible, because
we do.
You are affecting... Good, because when you do that, that's why I don't believe in avoiding social media, because they already know everything about you anyway, so you might as well subvert that surveillance aspect of something like Facebook, where the NSA absolutely is monitoring it for everyone internationally, to subvert that and to try and appeal to the people that are being paid to spy on you, in the sense of speaking your authentic truth and appealing to the fact that they probably have children. They've probably been sold a line of goods, and I think they're seeing that it's patently transparent right now as well. And you'd have to be a socialist to not have a pang of guilt if you are, in fact, spying on another citizen, whether privately or overtly. At this point, I don't believe that, because they're all sold the same line. You're doing this for national security. You're the good guy, and that person you're being given a file on is the bad guy. That's what they're all told. It's all propaganda. And they're all brainwashed into thinking that they've justified their existence by doing this horrific, anti-human, exactly. So to speak to them directly, to appeal to them directly, because I know they have a conscience. You can't be stupid working for the NSA. You can't be stupid working for what I assume Australia's surveillance intelligence agency is. You have to have some...
basically your system, it's American technology.
Exactly.
In the middle of
it's overreach.
It's just a couple of Aussies with a heap of Americans running it.
So I say, don't hide from any of it. Don't hide from the symbols that the Illuminati inverts. That's why I'm wearing this, because everyone's going to call me a Satanist if I wear this. But I'm not. It actually means everlasting life. It doesn't mean transhumanist agenda. It doesn't mean a inversion of everlasting life. It was always a holy and spiritual thing when I'm wearing the flying scarab, but now it, of course, has implications because everyone's aware of these types of things, and And I'm in this phase right now where I'm taking back the power of the symbols as well, and shoving it back in the Illuminati's face is one way to have it lose that power of duality constructs, which they're so fond of. The black and white checkered floors, for instance. I have no desire to install a black and white checker floor in my home, but I'm just saying, once you become aware of a symbol's power and what its intention is, they've inverted all of it. They've inverted...
what was it originally? And it's not
right.
What you're doing is good because you're using it for what it originally was for. And it's like you were saying before we started recording about the swastika, and I knew that, and they've done it with so many things where, like you said, that just can't be worn anymore because of what's happened with...
Well, and that's a successful example of them controlling reality. Because initially it was, I believe, a Native American symbol of everlasting life. And their obsession with it is something that they just want to control every aspect of our reality, starting with consciousness. And so if you understand the power of symbols, you understand how to work subversively with them so that they invert back the inversions back to its original settings. And they're terrified of that. They're terrified of me talking about that kind of thing and having a dialogue with you about this. And that we're open and out about it. And I would invite anyone who's listening to this interview to make their own blogs and make their own YouTube videos and have as much of a dinner time dialogue across the dinner table with as many people as possible about this kind of thing, and to learn about symbols. And absolutely look at websites like Vigilant Citizen, and the aspect of mind control, and how they have taken what the ancients' Gnostic knowledge was, which was basically information that the negative Anunnaki gave them, and passed down to sort of be the middle managers of mind control. Humans who were in the priest class were the middle managers of mind control, and other groups, and the Druids and so forth, who were taught by reptiles. They were taught by negative ETs who fed on human energy. And so
it's what people don't want to hear, and you're hitting on a really good point, is that I've talked about mind control with people, and I know I've talked to you about a couple of experiences where it's been military abduction, whatever.
Yeah.
But once you get into this, and you delve into it and do a bit of research, MK Ultra, whatever you want to go into, you can see that this is being put into, there's mass hypnosis going on now with the public, and it's been going on for a very long time, whether it's whatever's been implemented or on TV, but people just can't believe it. And it's the same with the super soldier stuff. After seeing what I've seen, I know that this is going on.
And you also know that black magicians exist within that super soldier community as well, directly.
Yeah, we know that now.
Yeah, with infiltrators.
That people are okay with little ET, or they're okay with reptilians, but once you go into those last two subjects, mind control and super soldiers, it's not even a big leap, but it's like too surreal. But it's like, if you know what I've seen with the ETs, the interdimensional aspect of how we were talking earlier about how they can project holographic images in front of you, like this is the stuff that Rodwell was saying, the stuff that we've seen would be better than any science fiction show you could write. Right, and it's real. Like, what we're going through is real.
Right, and actually what the secret military has, or the breakaway civilization has, is at least 50 years ahead of what we have now. And people just need to understand that we are not living in an analog world anymore. We can't afford to think in an analog fashion. And we have to understand how, at the same time, we are all we need. And we have everything we need. And even with all of that arsenal at the dark side's disposal, it still can't compete with the human soul. And the human mind is the start of the connection of the mind-body-soul connection. And they have lost, they wrested control of the mind control of the masses, but now people are taking their power back by understanding how their protocol is, how their master plan works, and subverting the paradigm by throwing a wrench in it. And it throws everything off, because what people don't understand is they have nothing to be scared of but fear itself, really. And even that is a construct. So 90% of your fears are often
It's an illusion.
It's imaginary. So So that's the only card the Illuminati really had at their disposal was just trying to control the game board. And now the game board, there are so many wrenches, so many spanners thrown in the machine right now, and they have so many mechanics trying to fix it that they are completely backlogged. That's what people don't understand. So of course all they can do is pull out increasing images of Humvees driving on American highways and displays of military prowess, but that's all they are, is displays. Yeah, they have the warfare, they have the armaments at their disposal, but the will is not there with the armed forces. And I don't even believe that the international forces that are coming in, I think most of them are starting to question their reality too. And in fact, I am kind of remote influencing some of them, because there are so many foreign troops that come in on American soil to train right now. And you can remote influence people too, but you have to learn how to do it ethically. I'm not telling people to, do it for the dark side.
I know what you're saying. It's got to be for, it's got to be for a good thing. Anything that's negative is going to come. Like I've said to other sidekicks too, is if they've done something for self-service.
But see, remote influencing is a form of telepathy. It's it's in the quantum field. And it's just like a conversation you have with someone. I'm not changing people's minds. I'm simply showing them options, and they get to decide whether or not those options are real. If they're exactly, if they're unexamined options, and they never thought about the other aspect of, well, what do you think about coming in as a foreign troop training on American soil? What do you think of that? Some of them it's never occurred to them before that this could even be a martial law kind of build-up scenario, or a demonstration for theatrical purposes to just keep everyone down. And
I think it's some type of foreign exchange type thing.
Exactly. If you're doing
if
you're doing it ethically, if you remote influence someone ethically, it's only and ever with their permission, believe it or not. And it only and ever comes if they decide not to do something based on having that remote conversation that they're not even maybe consciously aware of. They will make that decision themselves, because I believe inherently that people are smart, believe it or not. And in higher self, everyone is intelligent. Everyone's smart. So I'm talking to them in higher self, because I know sometimes it's just like speaking to a brick wall if you're talking to them in 3D. So you have to arrange for a sort of quantum field arrangement to have a conversation rather than a direct one.
It's getting directly to the source that way too.
Exactly. Cut through the middleman. Yeah. Cut through the middleman. You don't need it. And people will change their minds just lawfully as long as there's no firewalls involved or mind control programming that's layered so deeply, like with super soldiers, who don't want to have a thing to do with that, with their core personality, but they've been so reprogrammed and reprogrammed, and their original settings are somewhat muddled. It's like some of them you can't really help. Although I do feel like even the ones you can't really help are being helped at this time. Believe it or not. And if their programming is breaking down, it's for a very good reason. And nobody's going to not many. They might be reprogrammed. I don't know. They might, but it's a choice, ultimately. It's a choice. It's like a choice to be an addict.
Oh, it is. And like what you're saying at the moment, people have got to wipe the karma, or whether this life, past lives. And what more, remember, I just want to tell you something trippy that I put. It happened later, and I don't think I told you about this, but when we last spoke, or one of the last times we spoke, you said that my eye shape shifted blue. And what's weird? And what's weird is that I told Rodwell about this, and she said, she's heard somewhere that your spirit's meant to be split up. Now, what's funny is I hadn't told anyone, and it was in my book, and I wrote about this a long time ago, was that I've seen the other me, which is still alive. It's like as if it split its spirit up to reincarnate down.
Uh-huh.
So it confirmed what she said, do you know what I mean? That's the point. I wouldn't have worked that out unless you saw that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you saw that the eye shape shifted. I told Mary. Mary tells me that, and it confirms something that I've known for a while, which is, and I don't go into that much, saying that there's two of me.
It was like a blue cast. It almost looked like there was a blue cast. Like, what are your eyes normally, brown?
I know they're blue, but you said they went like fully blue.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember this specific conversation, but we were in a Skype session.
Yeah, it was a while ago,
The blue cast. Well, I took a photo of myself at the Met Museum, and I only slightly adjusted the contrast when I published the image, and my eyes turned blue. My eyes are brown. And they turned blue.
Yeah.
They turned blue, like cornflower blue in the image. And I don't know how that happened. And then my friend Sean said once that there's something that happens when you're awakened, that you get a blue cast. And actually, there's a mention of this in Dune, the book, where everyone has this sort of blue cast when they take the spice, this thing that enhances psychic vision. And actually, what happens is in the book, in the movie, the depiction is that your eyes turn this sort of intense cobalt blue. The whole, the ira, the viscera, everything turns blue. So I don't know what that is. And then it's also interesting that the third eye in chakral alignment corresponds with the color blue. If you look at each chakra energy point on the body, as sort of like the Kelvin heat system corresponds with a wave of color, right at the third eye is blue. That's the color that's associated with the third eye. So I thought that was very interesting. So I don't know what's going on here, but somebody's ringing my doorbell, but I don't know. I'm not supposed to get a package, but people ring the doorbells in my building all the time. Sorry, so I'm not going to answer that. But I don't know. I think that's real. I think what happened to you is real. I don't know what they do.
No, it's just trippy that there's no such thing as a coincidence, but it happens to me all the time. Like that's just an example. I talk to you, talk to Mary, and then it confirms something from ages
I guarantee to you, I did not read it in a book. I swear to God, I get all this information.
That's what I mean. Like, I wrote about that, but it's like you'd have to have gone through my whole stuff to get to that point nobody could just do that. It's just. But it was just trippy for me because the amount of times that type of thing happens is just, it's cool because you're like, that's how the universe works. If you got to know something, you got to learn something, you'll come across it, and it's sort of like validation and that type of thing.
In terms of manifestation, you want to learn about something, you don't know what you don't know, right? So my suggestion would be to anyone who wants to open up their third eye really quickly is first to write down on a piece of paper or many pages of a notebook and physically write it out. There's something about the physical writing of the question or the query that makes it easier to access the Earth's information grid and the etheric plane and so forth. Just write down your questions about life, and preferably about an hour or two before you go to bed, and then sleep on it, and then write in a diary the next day what your thoughts were in your dreamscape. And that's a good way to access your third eye initially. And then you might want to slowly incorporate a program of meditation. If you can only get to 30 seconds of pure white light, that's really doing something without having thoughts enter into the stream. If you can only do 5 seconds of pure white light energy in the meditation stream, that's fine. But eventually work yourself up to 20 minutes a day of just pure energy.
Well, that's what
and no thoughts, no detritus. You will open up your third eye very quickly that way if you do that for at least 2 or 3 months a day. 2 or 3 months for about 5 or 10 minutes a day can really enhance that. Stop drinking fluoridated water immediately. Buy a fluoride removal system, or I guess you get ionized water or something. I don't know. Reverse ionization.
So many different types of things out there to do it, but
it's relatively inexpensive for what it is. There's many products on the market that can help you with that. Try to get enough sleep. Try to eat right. I found initially for my awakening process, a vegetarian diet initially helped, but later on I slowly introduced a little chicken. I don't really eat
that's
red
what I
meat.
recommend, chicken and just salads.
But organic whenever possible.
Yeah.
And or if not, at least non-GMO. And try to get some exercise, but make it exercise that integrates the mind-body-spirit connection. If you feel at one with nature, go hiking. If you feel that yoga can help you, try and do that. We're talking about exercise for the third eye, of course. Do any kind of exercise you like. But I think
I recommend that
because I know
everyone, because especially when I teach meditation, is what I'm telling people is it's not like you're going to do meditation with me. You're not going to be a bloody guru. You're your own.
Right.
You've got to be your own god, but you've got to do exercise, eat well, and have a balance of everything that's going on in your life. Try to have a balance so not one thing is overtaking, and making you feel down. And what you said about the exercise is one thing that people never think about. And what you said is just find something that you love that's incorporating mind, body, spirit.
Right.
I think that's a fantastic thing because it's not going to make it dull and boring either.
Well, keep playing your Sunday football, whatever, but this is the training program for opening your third eye, because obviously it occurred to me, it's not enough to just say, open your third eye, everyone. I mean, I have to give some tips, so that's just what I'm doing. It just occurred to me to just offer some suggestions. But what we're saying is pretty basic, right? What we're saying is not like so out there and crazy. I mean, these are things that people independently have been doing, maybe one or two of these things, but combined, you have to understand how the holistic lifestyle, how one thing is connected to another, how we're all interconnected. That's not a New World Order philosophy. Again, that's a bastardization of all is one. Is the New World Order as one world government is an inversion of all is one, which means that you are, the spiritual meaning of, yes, you are all a part of God. You are not a God, but you are part of the Godhead. You are a manifestation of God as a reflection of self. And of course, they take that basic core information, and just like Jordan Maxwell was talking about, how the all-seeing eye is actually initially from Jesus. And I think the cult of Mary, potentially, and that it had no Illuminati connection whatsoever, and that it was a benevolent image. Again, another image that the Illuminati has stolen for themselves to reinvent. So we have to take that back. We have to stop giving them so much damn power. They love it. They love that we're in fear of these symbols and that we get triggered by them. So opening your third eye is also a great way to deprogram yourself from any mind control programs that you have that subconsciously are running, whether it's from watching hours of advertising as a kid and thinking that your body isn't perfect enough because advertising is designed to make you insecure, or it doesn't have to be something as dramatic as I was in a mind control program and used for remote viewing purposes with a gun pointed at my head, which is basically what kind of happened. Just because you aren't having that dramatic an experience doesn't mean that you haven't been mind-controlled yourself. So we all have to deprogram ourselves, great and small. We all have to deprogram. That's the second thing that they're terrified. Oh, I just felt a wave of panic. A wave of panic in the dark energy just went through me. They just were so scared when I said that. Take the symbols back. Take the power back. Subvert the paradigm. Upend it.
With deprogramming, but I think it was mainly me to depro, because I noticed it about a day or two later after each time it happened. I noticed something's not right. Whether it's when we first got in contact, I had very similar experiences in the house to another friend of yours, where I had basically shadow man activity, it was dark stuff. And as soon as
a lot of activity.
I realised exactly what was going on, because I'd been exposed to the reptilians, because I had interactions, but I hadn't been exposed to the darker force.
Yeah.
And then once I realised, it was really up to me. I had some help with the clearing and cleansing and that, but it was really, this is your battle. We've got to let you do this.
Yes.
And there was a couple of tips and tools, but it's really up to us, because people just don't think this is going on, and it is real.
This is a good point to bring up as well, Peter, because when people open up their third eye, occasionally something really scary initially can happen because it's the unknown and they've never experienced that before. Please understand that if you do experience a psychic attack of some kind, it is God's way of showing you have to learn about psychic protection, and that specific type of psychic protection. And if you don't experience the initial attack, you never know what that feels like. You never experience that, therefore you never know. And you are remaining in ignorance, and then you therefore are allowed to be vulnerable to someone mind controlling you. So I am grateful for every single psychic attack I've ever had as well, because it made me stronger. I've learned how to combat it now by trial and error. Just understand there's light in the darkness if you just understand that if you are being attacked psychically, and you'll know it. And that includes psychotronic weaponry that's very 3D, that people could point at your head if you're a targeted individual.
Oh, definitely.
But you can fight that too. You can change your biochemistry, and you can actually change your electromagnetic composition, so that the weaponry will in effect become ineffective.
In effect, yeah.
So like I said, you have superpowers you don't even know about, and people just disregard it left and right. They leave so much on the table. They're leaving stacks and stacks of gold on the table, and they just leave it there because they think it's impossible, that they can't do this. And they remain vulnerable as a result. They're basically leaving their front door open for attack by doing that. So,
well, the other thing is too, like, just going into how you're talking about tips and sort of stuff people can do. One thing I've noticed is that when I've meditated with people, I get them into a state where they have to stop because they're freaking out. Not because it's bad, but they're too blissed out because they've never experienced energy, the form of energy we talk about.
Yeah.
And the biggest tip I have to them, because I warn them, but they just blow it off until it happens. And a lot of people can say
that's human nature.
That they felt like they were on 100 ecstasy tablets, or they're on a heap of this because they said you're buzzing.
Yeah.
But like I say to people, is imagine if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, which isn't a good example really, but like how you could ride those drugs. You've got to ride this energy till you become friends with it, get acquainted with the real you, because once you can access that, it goes, as you know, in all directions of what information you can access, experiences you can have. And that's just one thing I wanted to let stay was that, you know, don't freak out when you start doing that type of thing from the energy, because that's really the coolest thing about it. Like, getting into it is, you know, getting acquainted with that energy that I think it just freaks people out because it's something you can't see, but they can feel it and they can feel the vibrating and they start rocking and the energy bands are all swirly, but they don't realise this. And because a lot of them with their first time, they freak out, but I reckon the tips that you gave are perfect, and I just want to add that in because a lot of people do say to me, one mate, he hasn't done it since because he just said that was just too tripped out, man. He said the energy was just, I didn't expect that. He said it wasn't bad, but it lets them know that it exists.
Real,
you know?
Well, you can't be frightened by that kind of thing because it's self-created. You wanted to peer into that aspect of that reality, and you saw it, and it was foreign to you because, by and large, you've been programmed by the media and your family and friends and everyone, your educators, that what you just did was impossible. And so the disconnect and the, the feeling of dissociation and the creepy sort of vertigo feeling you might feel from that comes from the fact that it's not, in fact, fake, it's real. And that shock of the new is so great that oftentimes it does turn people off, literally, that they don't want to use it ever again because they think it's quote-unquote overwhelming or bad. But what people need to realize is that it's just like exercise. If you build it like a muscle, it won't be so foreign to you anymore. You'll be able to lift heavy objects much easier rather than being a 98-pound weakling, shall we say. People have to get over that discomfort of the new and the unknown. And really it is the shock of the new that I think what's more shocking to people who start doing this and they get the blissed out feeling and then suddenly they have, for instance, their first attack, or they have their first paranormal experience after this happens, they think that it's bad, quote unquote. And simply because it doesn't make any sense to them or it's frightening to them doesn't mean that it's bad automatically. But
exactly, yeah.
I feel like I've sort of tapped out that subject. I just felt like I needed to talk with you about that a little bit, and to sort of offer people that there is hope, that they shouldn't get downtrodden about any of these events in the media or the news, however they spin it, however the economy goes, whatever the military does in any country or any zone of the world. You're all protected if you just understand that this all comes from everyone as much as it comes from ourselves individually. And thoughts create reality, and you really do control your emotions through your thoughts first. And don't let anyone else control that for you. Take your power back. And that's really all I had to say.
No, that's it. And that's what needs to be, that's where I'm going with what I'm doing. Waking up people, healing the earth, we've got to just do that. And whatever way we can do that and get that out, is great. And that's what we're doing right now. So I really want to say thanks for doing this too, because you've got very valuable information that's a benefit to all, and I just wanted to be another platform to get that out. It's just, it's got to be out there, this type of thing. And the more people that can do this type of thing and get it out there, the better. So, it's all of us just pulling our weight, and you're doing that more than most. So, you got anything coming up at the moment, like any other things going on?
Well, first of all, I say I don't know if I'm pulling my weight more than most. Many people, I'm sure, wouldn't see it that way, but I thank you very much for that kind comment.
You're saying stuff that people don't want to hear.
Yeah, it's really fun sometimes. It's really fun sometimes to be the kid who says the emperor's not wearing any clothes. Let me tell you, there's limited returns on that when you do that. But it feels good to me, and I can sleep at night, and I can look at myself in the mirror and be okay with that, because I'm speaking the truth, and I'm speaking authenticity. I'm not in groupthink. I'm not doing mindless, sort of glad-handing. If I don't like somebody, I'm not going to do an interview, and I've really shut down a lot of media offers and requests. I've had lots of really crass mainstream media contact me to do shows with them, paid gigs. I've turned them down because it's just so in the darkness, and it's so designed to make fun of psychic ability, and it's a hit piece that's designed to make us look like fools and imbeciles or egomaniacs or something. I don't know. Just however they want to frame you, they're going to frame you. Mostly they want to make me look like the village idiot.
No, it's happened to me here in Australia. So.
Right, so I'm just avoiding that like the plague right now and just doing what feels right authentically, and it just was sort of spontaneous that I felt that it was really important to speak with you because you're the real deal. So people should pay attention to you, Peter Maxwell Slattery. So I'm happy to do this if it helps anyone's education and the format by which they want to sort of circumnavigate this somewhat a little bit better. Just don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. Everything's going to be fine, because when you turn that light on in your mind, you can't turn it out again. You can't turn off an idea. You can't, once you learn something, it's kind of hard to unlearn it. And everyone's going to be fine. Just take it easy. Don't panic. Put one foot in front of the other and take deep breaths and learn how to meditate. And by doing that alone, you lower your blood rate or your blood pressure, which is great. And you open up timelines of possibility and potentiality that were not there before because you simply closed them down because you thought they weren't possible. And I'm here to tell you, yes, even more so, not only are they possible and probable, they're likely to happen even faster the more you accept and integrate that reality into your existence.
No, that's fantastic, and you're spot on with that, and it'll trip them out once they see the fruits of that, because I know what happens to me. It takes a little while to go, this is so cool, but it happens.
It's all right. It's going to be all right. You're fine. You're safe.
Yeah.
God doesn't hand you anything more than you're already ready for and that you've contracted for and that you've agreed to, and you can change that agreement as you see fit. If you feel it's too much, you can always take a step back and say, I break that contract. I don't need it anymore. I want to switch paths. I want to go onto a different train track and do this instead for a while, and that's fine. God loves you. The universe is kind and loving. It's just we who have constructed humanity in such a way to be cruel and unusual. We don't have to be that way. Yeah. We can be who we are authentically, which is love. We are built in love. We're not built in hate. It's easier to love than to hate. It really is. It takes so much energy to hate. That's not the natural way.
Smiling. It's better to smile than to frown.
Exactly. It's just easier. It's easier and it feels good. Yeah. So that's my opinion. But thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate it.
No, you're all right. Thank you for being on, and thank you to everyone for listening. And we'll actually have this up on YouTube. Either Anya or myself will be putting this up, which is the first episode, video recorded as well. So that's pretty cool. So any questions or comments, just go to petermaxwellslattery.com. And cheers, Anya, again. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Take care.
Cheers. Sweet. That was good.
It's getting so dark in here. Wait, I have to turn on a light. I'm sorry. I just, I have to go pretty soon. I apologize.
Nah, you're right. That's fine. And thank you for making the time to do that.
Yeah, no, it was very spontaneous. I didn't plan it. It just happened that way, that I had some time, and I hadn't spoken to you in a while anyway, and just wanted to catch up. But I think it's going to be really interesting.
I think it was upstairs.
What's that?
upstairs in our guides and the ETs were doing something, because the shit that's been going on in my mind for the last few days and how what's played out from it is just.
So there was
how they work.
So there was a push to get you to do something with me, probably because I was getting so much information about just telling people it's okay to be this. That they don't have to hide from it anymore. They don't have to keep it compartmentalized into a conversation that's only meant for, like, secrecy. Like, to make this a dinner table conversation is the goal in my life. To just make people completely comfortable with psychic identity is really important. And to not be afraid of it. And to not be afraid.
Yeah. Well, no, it's helped me a heap, I can tell you, because the psychic stuff for me now is just full on. Like, it's one thing to do contact and meditation work and that type of thing, but it's getting to a point where all I want to do is just make people think what they do with themselves cool, but I just want to heal, awaken, and help people. And the main thing is at the moment is I'm just focusing on star seeds that are similar to where I'm at, and to give them some tools to do it themselves, to embrace what contract they've got to what they've got to do.
Right.
Because it takes a while to waken up, and I know that there's only the ones that are doing a lot of work here, like Rodwell and Alan Ferguson and a few others, they're busy as hell, and I'm busy as hell, but the more of us that can do it and give them the tools, they will go and give them tools to the next one that they interact with.
We have to encourage people to make their own media. We have to encourage people to say it's okay to have this conversation recorded and put it on YouTube. You know what I mean? We have to make it okay for people to talk about their wildest thoughts about the esoteric.
That was trippy shit.
Yeah.